Hello everyone, my name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. Today we are here to discuss all the books I read in March. March was a weird reading month for me. I had some highlights and lowlights, but I did manage to read a couple of books, one which is a new favorite of mine. I also participated in Becca's 48-hour book-oplathon, which I'll leave my vlog for in the cards if you guys are interested. So we'll go in order of books I liked less to like my new favorite, and I'll leave cards in the video, so if you want to navigate to specific book reviews or thoughts, if you're looking for something in particular, feel free to do so. And without more chatting on my part, let's just hop on. My least favorite book of the month has to be I Think I Love You by Oriana's Own, which was a release in March. This is a YA contemporary that kind of felt almost at times a little bit middle grade-y, although there are romantic elements, and I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. This follows two main characters, Emma and Sophia. They are like very different people. One of them really loves rom-coms and romantic, like anything romance, and the other doesn't believe in romance, and she's very skeptical of those things, especially since her parents have divorced. And they kind of all come together because they have a related friends group. I do want to say one of them is bisexual, the other is a lesbian, and because not a lot of people are out in their area, everybody kind of assumed that they would get together, and that's kind of caused a friction in the friend group. And this really begins and takes off when our main character Emma gets a email saying that the people at her school can enter the film festival in LA and be judged, and it gives a whole bunch of opportunities, and Emma has always wanted to create a rom-com featuring a bisexual main character because it's not something that she has seen before and she wants to feel represented. However, we do also have Sophia, who comes back from Paris because she was in Paris. It's kind of a long story. And she wants to make something more artistic and, you know, something different. She doesn't believe in romance, so she doesn't want to do a rom-com. And each of them kind of battle it out and do end up falling in love behind the cameras. That's all fine and dandy. I did really like the discussions on coming out and what it means to be part of the LGBTQ community. I did learn some things myself, and I think that the experiences in here are valid. I don't know if this is own voices, but I still think that it was nice to see more characters will work towards better representation for their own visibility, and that was super interesting to me. However, the characters, not all of them were super likable, and I did find that the plot wavered a little bit and that most of this book was just miscommunication, which is probably fine when you're 16 years old and reading this. However, I'm 24, and miscommunication for the entirety of a plot kind of rubs me the wrong way, and I just think that so many things could have been done differently or handled in a different way, and it was just not the book for me. I liked what it tried to do, but I kind of got lost in the execution of it all. However, it's not like I don't recommend you pick this up. It's just, it kind of fell flat in my opinion, and you know, it's a little YA super short read. If you're looking for a book for a readathon, I did go through this at a somewhat good pace. It did slow me down, but I think it's because my enjoyment wasn't 100%, but it's definitely something I can see other people really enjoying. Then we have Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab, which is the third book in a middle grade series called the Cassidy Blake series, which follows a main character named Cassidy who has parents who are like ghost hunters. They have a ghost hunter show. Her mom really believes in ghosts. Her dad is more of a skeptic, more of a historian, and they combined forces to make a show where they go through different places that are haunted around the world and kind of talk about these most haunted places. Plot twist though, Cassidy was saved from drowning, and ever since then she can travel through a veil and see actual ghosts and help people kind of pass along and actually go wherever ghosts go when they're not there. And her parents don't know that she can actually see ghosts. She has a best friend who is a ghost, and I absolutely love him. This book is the third book in the series and lasts for a little while, and this one is set in New Orleans. And I think it was not my favorite in the series, but it wasn't bad. I ended up giving it a 4 stars. Really, it's more like a 3.5. but I don't really do have scores, and Compile, which is the rating system I use, doesn't do 0.5s, so it's a 4. Some of the little things in here that just fell flat for me or kind of rubbed me the wrong way. One, all the Harry Potter references. I don't talk about Harry Potter on my channel anymore. It's not something I endorse, and it is kind of, I don't want to mention it more. I did talk about it more previously on my channel, but there's a lot of Harry Potter references in here and they don't need to be in there. I don't know why. They've been there since the beginning of the series, and like, sure, you can have like pop culture references, but like 1 or 2 times, but there's a lot of them in here and it's too much in my opinion. And even though the kind of villain in here, like death was literally coming for Cassidy, and that seems to have high stakes, I wasn't as involved. I think for me personally, the setting of New Orleans was not as powerful as Paris or Edinburgh, which is the 2 other places this series took place in, and it just kind of was harder for me to imagine. I just think that the descriptions and the things here didn't connect with me as much, but I did like the overall adventure. I really do like Cassidy's ghost friend. She also has like a human friend who has the same abilities as her, and she comes into play in this book as well. I loved those parts. I can't really talk too much about this without spoiling some things in the series, but overall it was good. But I still think maybe, I feel like City of Bones is definitely my favorite, which was the first one. But yeah, The Bridge of Souls, it's a very good middle grade series. It's very strong. It does have those little problematic elements in there, but overall I think a lot of people enjoy the series and I highly recommend especially the first 2 books. We then have Fumbled by Alexa Martin, which is the second book in a romance series, which I don't know the title of. If anyone knows the title of the series, please let me know in the comments. The first book is Intercepted. This one is Fumbled. This is essentially the story of women who were somehow involved with men in the NFL, and they all these men we follow play in the same team called the Mustangs, or are somehow connected to them, and we follow the women who are in their lives and a lot of, like, obviously relationships. Some of them are already married, some of them are getting together. There's second chance romances. This one is technically a second chance romance, and it also involves a single mom. I really love this. Intercepted for me was a lot too many like hashtags in the writing, and it was a fine book, but this one was 100 times better in my opinion. I just think that the romance in here and the childcare and the story and everything that kind of was interwoven with it was spectacular. I really loved the main character who we follow, and her heart was really in the right place. I just think that everything about this was really swoony, and it was a great addition to the series. I for sure want to continue on now that I've read this one. I think that the series will just get better and better. A lot of people compare this series to the Bromance Book Club, and I do think it does have some similarities. So if you did read the Bromance Book Club and want something that kind of gives you the same kind of feels, I definitely recommend this series. Then I have The Stud Next Door by Kendall Ryan, which is the third book in the Frisky Business series. You guys, I think I'm somewhat getting very much obsessed with Kendall Ryan. Her romances will not be for everyone, and I totally get that. Some people might think they're a little too basic or whatever. I enjoy them. They make me very happy. They are something that alleviates a lot of stress in my life, and I could not be more thankful to have found Kendall Ryan this year. This I am reading out of order, really. I've already read the first book in April, but this I started with the third book because it has the single dad trope, and I'm a sucker for that. I love that trope apparently now. I want more. If you have any recs, leave them down below. But this follows a man who is part of the reason the series is called Frisky Business is because they as the friend group own a toy shop, like an adult toy shop, and he you know, was always kind of flirting around, and he slept with some people, and one girl got pregnant. They are still in touch, but she kind of moved on. She has her own boyfriend, her own life. She's in med school, I think, and so he mostly takes care of the child, and he needs to go back to work. And so when their neighbors kind of house someone for a summer who's gonna live like above their own home in an apartment, they obviously meet and she ends up nannying for our main male character and they end up falling in love. I love those kinds of stories. It's very romantic. I like the element of like close proximity due to work, and then the girl kind of takes a liking to the child and then everything kind of spirals out of there, and I loved it. I think it was very sweet. It was romantic. I really loved the main male character as well as the female main character. This is dual perspective and I just really enjoy the books. I don't have like a crap ton of things to say about them. They fall into the same tropes a lot of other romance books do. But there's a special thing for me with Kendall Ryan's writing and the way they make me feel, so loved it, 4 stars. And the last book, and my favorite book I've read in a really long time, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is a YA mystery, and I picked this kind of after watching a few people talk about it, but it was mostly on a whim, and oh my god, I absolutely adored this. And this follows a main character who's named Pippa, but I believe people call her Pip in this book, and this is set in the UK. I know the American versions changed the setting for the US, and now I have the second book of this with the US edition, and I'm gonna be so confused, but this edition is set in the UK, and it follows a main character named Pip, who along with her A-levels is working on this project. It's like a year-long project and you can do whatever you want and it kind of gives you credit, I guess. And she decides to work on a murder that happened in her town years ago when everybody thought that the girl who died was killed by her boyfriend and then her boyfriend committed suicide. However, our main character doesn't believe that's true, and so she goes on an investigation of her own, and she unravels a lot of different threads and secrets that were kind of held together by a lot of different people in her town. It becomes very dangerous. Our main character takes a lot of terrible decisions, but I could not stop reading. At one point I got like 100 pages in during Becca's Bookathon, and it got late and I was like, you know what, I might put this down because if not, nightmares are gonna happen. Every time I heard a sound in my house, I was scared. And I'm not usually scared easily. I don't know what happened with this, but it's just there were so many things that were entangled in one web, and then some things came apart slowly, and it was just a lot of confusion. And I personally really like that. I've seen people say that there were too many things that were intertwined together, and that because of that, they kind of lost interest, but it was the opposite for me. Like, the more we didn't know where this was going and the less I had theories on what happened, the more I wanted to read, and it's exactly kind of the feeling I got with this. And it's been a while since I read a mystery thriller, especially in the YA genre, that I really loved, and now I can totally say that I get the hype for this. 5 out of 5 stars, absolutely loved it. So those were all the books I read in the month of March. Let me know in the comments what you guys read, what you recommend I read next, and if not, just leave me a butterfly emoji in the comments, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye guys, happy reading!